the reputation of the Muslim community in a number of countries is subject to defamation at a time when action is increasing against Muslims due to the rise of extreme right. All Islamic states are called upon to act together against such a situation and take necessary measures to fight against racist and xenophobic actions at all levels and to establish pillars of security and peace. In this regard, we dare rely on the member states to act together with General Secretariat against Islamophobia. On the other hand, we need to collaborate with all the members of the international community to combat this phenomenon. It is with satisfaction that we have welcomed the adoption in 15th March by the General Assembly of the United Nations of a resolution designating the 15th of March of each year as International Day of the fight against Islamophobia. We express the hope that it will contribute to favor a dialogue at the international level of a culture of tolerance and peace. Our fight against terrorism is also an absolute priority for our organization. In order to face up to this phenomenon, we have established a multidimensional strategy on the basis of international law and the Convention of the OIC on Anti-Terrorism Act, including the question, one of the issues to which we attach special attention. I would like to draw attention to strengthening cooperation between the member states in culture and civilization. This is a subject of consultations that the General Secretariat is undertaking with the member states and international and regional bodies that partners in this field. And this is the object of active action. In this regard, I would like to avail of the opportunity to congratulate the UAE for having hosted the exhibition 2022, which has been the subject of consistent cooperation between the member states. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in the field of social development and protection of values and regarding the institution of marriage and family, the General Secretariat is getting ready to convene other meetings of experts to achieve the discussion of the project of Convention of the OIC on the rights of children in Islam, a project that was elaborated with the Permanent Commission and Independent Commission of Human Rights, IPHCR. With regard to the freedom of women and empowering women, I would like to hail the Republic of the Arab Republic of Egypt, the host country of the Organization for the Rights of Women, for having allocated a special building to headquarter to host the organization. At the level of the capacity building of youth, I would like to pay special tribute to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for having decided to welcome and host the 5th session of the Islamic Conference of Ministers of Youth and Sports that was regrettably delayed due to the COVID-19. This General Secretariat continues its coordination with the Saudi authorities with regard to set a special date for the said conference. In terms of the media, the organization have sped up its investments in new media to enlighten the member states and the public international public opinion regarding the vital issues for the Islamic Ummah and for the Muslim communities in non-member states, as well as to educate the world about its projects and efforts in support of the least developed countries to face up to the propagation of the coronavirus pandemic. In the humanitarian field, the OIC General Secretariat have been developed further over the past few years in collaboration with the international bodies. In this regard, I would like to thank all the member states and institutions of the OIC that have contributed to supporting humanitarian action of our organization, particularly the Islamic Solidarity Fund and the humanitarian partners for most of which I would like to quote the King Salman Center for Humanitarian Action. The General Secretariat has put in enormous efforts to help the member states, the least developed countries, to face up to the pandemic of the coronavirus, to adopt and adopted multiple initiatives in this regard, including the opening of a special fund for the reception of accounts of contributions in support of the World Health Organization. In this regard, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has made a 20 million real donation in support of this fund for the acquisition of vaccines in coordination with the Salman Center for Humanitarian Action. I wish to avail of the occasion to launch an appeal to the member states to contribute further to this account to finance the purchase of vaccines for the benefit of the least developed countries in the OIC. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 2 years have passed by, and we have not yet been able to get out of the COVID pandemic. Due to this pandemic, measures taken during this period, our countries have faced economic difficulties and a drop of exportations of tourist activities. Based on this fact, the post-corona action occupies a special place in our action. In this regard, our organization has paid particular action for the implementation of these programs and economic projects in agriculture, in rural development, food security, employment and protection, social protection, and strengthening exchanges in trade and encouragement of investment in order to ensure the realization of the objectives as announced in our action program OIC 2025. Bearing in mind the importance of cooperation in the economic and trade fields between the member states and within the framework of the implementation of the resolutions issued by your Council to organize a forum on investment in Africa, I've accorded particular attention to this issue, and I'm about to finalize the details of which I will inform you in due time. I'm happy to inform you also that the 8th session of the Islamic Conference of the OIC on food security and agricultural development, held in Istanbul in the Republic of Turkey on 25th, 27th October 2021, has given a new impetus to cooperation in the sector. The ministers have adopted 3 programs of the OIC for agricultural development strategies such as food stocks and rice and other products. Within the same framework, the OIC tourist conference and labor conference that will be held this year, respectively in Azerbaijan and the UAE, will allow the member states of our organization to take stock of the current situation in this particular sector and to elaborate a common strategy such as to enable us to face up to the challenges and alleviate the adverse effects of the coronavirus on the sectors of tourism and labor. Excellencies, Highnesses, the OIC has intensified its action in favor of strengthening cooperation between the member states in order to ensure the progress of its agenda in the field of science, technology, higher education, health, water and environment as fundamental pillars of the strategy of the OIC for the eradication of poverty, of disease, illiteracy and extremism. I'm happy, therefore, to record that the 2nd summit of the OIC on technology that was held online in June last has taken stock of the steps fulfilled by the member states in the field of technology and their policies and national strategy in this field. Therefore, undoubtedly, providing a high-quality level of education will be the optimal means against underdevelopment. The OIC plays an important role in the training of students of the member states. Allow me here to express my due thanks and gratitude to all the member states and organizations that give financial support to our universities, consecration of greater solidarity and cooperation among the member states in the field of higher education, of programs of exchange in the member states to provide larger numbers of scholarships for the students, particularly in the least developed countries. In the field of health, the General Secretariat, in collaboration with the competent, relevant organizations of the OIC, has adopted a traditionally well-approved approach to help the member states face up to the adverse effects of the COVID-19. With the help of the steering committee on health, of ministers of health, as well as the urgent measures taken by the ministers of foreign affairs. Secondly, an urgent financial support from the member states through the ISF and the group of the development, the IDB, and through action against fallacious media propaganda. Within the framework of legal convention and statutes adopted by the Islamic meetings and the Council of Foreign Ministers, represents the framework such as to allow the organization to fulfill its action in conformity with the agreements signed by the member states. In this regard, I'd like to renew our call to the member states that have not yet signed or ratified the agreements concluded within the framework of the organization to do so, so that these mechanisms may be established and become operative. In the forefront of this document, I would like to note the charter of the organization, the statute of the organization for women's development.